Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Jaguars React. And the Jaguars get back on track this week with a big, dominant victory over the admittedly pretty terrible Tennessee Titans, 34-14. And anytime you can destroy the Titans makes me a happy individual. I hate the Titans. But let's talk about this game. Man, what a game the Jags needed after the debacle last week, where that didn't feel good. And to come back and dominate a team, they should dominate. Admittedly, this should have been exactly the game that it ended up being. But it was nice to see the Jags not have some holdover from that, and they got out to a fairly quick start. I mean, it was only 10 nothing at the half, 13 nothing at the half. You know, it went punt, but our punt, fumble, and then after the fumble, the Will Levis off sack, or on a bad snap, that really seemed to ignite the Jaguars, and they went 57 yards easily. Unbelievable touchdown. Was that the unbelievable catch, or was it the second one? Either way, good catch from Ridley for the touchdown. He had 2 TDs. He played great. This felt like the Jaguar football I'm used to. The Jags had kind of crazy to think about this. They had 1, 2, 3.
I absolutely would not send that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plays, 6 plays of 8 or 6 drives of 8 or more plays in this game. Obviously, they ended up going for a random fourth down at the end for no reason. They could have kicked the field goal, make it 37-14, but they didn't. And look, those two, the 2 touchdowns that they gave up were whatever. One was on a trick play, a really well-executed trick play, well-timed trick play in that respect, and the other one was late in the garbage time. So for the most part, I'm not too worried about that. There really was nothing too negative, I would say, in this game. The Jags went 3 for 5 in the red zone. So they had 3 touchdowns. Better in the red zone today. Still would like to see more touchdowns, but we're okay with that. Third downs was a little rough at 4 for 12, but they went 3 for 3 effectively. I know they had the one miss on the last drive. So that made up for that. 389 yards to 235. Yards per play, interestingly enough, actually went Tennessee's way, 6.2 to 5.6, but the Jags were so ball dominant in this game, having the ball for over 36 minutes, that it almost didn't matter. Tennessee just kept beating themselves. 2 turnovers in the game, 7 penalties for 66 yards. It was oftentimes on third down, a crucial down. Trevor Lawrence looked like a franchise quarterback in this game with 4 total TDs, including 2 rushing TDs. ETN had a pretty solid game, although I'm wondering, he seemed to get less work in this game than normal, and that's something that's caught my eye, to say the least. Like that was a little bit interesting. There was points where Ernest Johnson took over in the second half for the most part. That first drive in the second half was all him. ETN did come back in the game. I thought Ernest looked okay. He had one real nice pass play. That was a great play. He got a 34-yard catch. But ETN, less of a workload. They still had 17 touches, but no touchdowns. Didn't need them here. It was a Calvin Ridley show. 7 catches for 103 yards. Christian Kirk had 3 for 48. And Evan Ingram 4 for 29. Zay Jones, first game back at 4 for 20. Nothing too crazy there. Really, the Jags just did enough in this game to just keep the Titans at bay. No big plays really, like crazy big plays or anything like that. Just a thoroughly dominant game. I didn't think the Titans rookie quarterback played awful in this game. I just think he didn't have time, and they were really one-dimensional. The Jags did a really good job at bottling up the run game. Derrick Henry had 10 carries for 38 yards. He also had a catch for 6 yards. They are struggling with the run game right now, and Derrick Henry does not look like Derrick Henry of old. We'll say that. I still think he could be a solid running back, but he's kind of showing why you need offensive linemen. But I don't think Will Levis played a bad game in this. I want to make that clear. I thought when he had time, he made some good throws out there, and but he was a lot small. The Jags never really gave up anything crazy outside of that big play. They got pressure on him. They only had 2 sacks in this game, and there was a whole bunch of guys with a half a sack, including Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker. But It was a nice, but they got pressure consistently.
I'm telling you, saving with Synchronous Bank is
The Jags D
easier than
played
making
well,
up.
I thought. Jags D played well. But no, man, getting a game like this after a game like that against San Francisco is absolutely huge for Jags. You know, a loss like that could easily spiral in the wrong ways, and it didn't. So credit to the coaching staff for keeping these guys, and a credit to the leaders on this team. I know they talked about on the game that Evan Ingram and Trevor and Christian Kirk all had passionate speeches after the game, and it showed. It showed that they weren't defeated by the last game. That, you know, stuff happens. Next week though is the big one. They got Houston again in Houston.
Floyd, I absolutely would not
Houston won
send
again
that.
today. They're 6-4.
Game-saving
They're
interception.
only a game back. A win
Thanks,
for
Marcus.
Houston means
I'm
Jags
telling
will
you,
be
saving
behind
with
them in the
Synchronous Bank is
standings
much easier
based
than
off
making all these
tiebreakers
things around here.
and
No
being swept.
fees, no minimums, no
That's not
brainer.
good. The
Check out
Jags
this
and
replay.
Trevor Lawrence have had all sorts of problems with Houston for years now. We saw what happened earlier this season in Jacksonville. This is going to be a tough game for the Jags, and really these two, they really need to bring their A game because a win here goes a long way. You know, they only have one divisional game left after that against the Titans in weeks 18. But next week's big. Getting this win and winning the way they did is huge for multiple different reasons. But now it's on next week against a Houston team that,
absolutely would not send
you know,
that.
barely beat Arizona today,
Game-saving
admittedly, but
interception.
has had the Jags number for years.
I'm telling
So
you, saving with Synchronous Bank is much easier than
it's
making all
a
these saves
big,
around
big
here.
week
No
next week
fees,
for
no
the Jags.
minimums, no brainer.
Check out this replay.
I don't know. The schedule has changed a bit in terms of the teams, not in terms of who they're playing, but after next week we play the Joe Burrow-less Bengals, that is such an unfortunate injury for the Bengals that you hate to see it, but that becomes a lot more winnable on Monday night. Then they travel to Cleveland without Deshaun Watson. Although they did win a walk-off field goal against Pittsburgh today, between two teams who have no business being the record they are, but somehow are. And then they have a mega clash on Sunday Night Football against the Ravens, a Ravens team that often looks like one of the best teams in the league right now. So tough game there. Then the last three games are at Tampa, Panthers, at Titans. So there's some. Get past this week, win this week, and the Jags could go on could easily go on a run. But next week's a big week. Next week is the week. It doesn't, loss isn't the end of the world, but it does put a lot of pressure, a lot more pressure on the team, unfortunately, and that's no good. But the Jags do get back on track this week. Huge week for them. Could not be happier with the result. Exactly the game I was hoping this would be, and it was, and that was exactly what the Jags needed, and I am super, super happy to say that. Make a quick video here. This will be early. This will be a quick video because the Jags, easy win today, which we like. Next week, Houston. CJ Stroud still looks good. 2 interceptions today, though. I think he said 3 in his last 4 games, so that's not insignificant, folks. Maybe he's getting. Oh, he had 3 picks today. Holy cow! They barely. That's big, and the Jags have been good about turnovers this year. So let's get some turnovers next week. CJ Stroud's thrown some picks over the last couple weeks. Start looking a little bit more like a rookie. He's thrown 5. He's thrown 4 in the last 2 games and 5 in the last 5 after starting the season with none through before he got to New Orleans. So, all right. But on that note, go Jags next week. Big game next week. Huge matchup for the Jags against Houston. Let's go Jags. Until next time, everybody. Deuces.